Hi everyone, happy Monday. Today is Monday, April 20th, and I wanted to share with you this delightful technique. And you can see it was my first card I made, so I learned a lot. It was cased from Susan Campfield. Susan Campfield is an amazing Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I can claim that I know her and she's a friend. So what a blessing that is. Anyway, I am using the new Lily of the Valley stamp set. I'm not using the dies yet, but I will be because I love this. And this designer series paper is gorgeous. I mean, it's so pretty. It's just unbelievably pretty. So we will be doing more with that for sure. Here's all my contact information. I'd love it. If you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. So please reach out. So let me show you. Susan is calling this the double vision. I would say it could also be called like an eclipse. And you can see down here, this one I didn't get completely straight. And it's really okay. It doesn't, and I would also put my dimensionals down a little farther. I learned a lot making this card, but it's so neat and so fun. And it just adds. This will be for my technique class in May. So let me show you what you need. I'm using 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then I have another piece of 4 by 5 1/4 also. The same color. That's what kind of gives it when it peeks through. That's really cool. I have a 4 by 5 1/4. I already stamped the happy birthday, which comes from the Lily in the Valley suite. Well, this is a bundle, sorry. And then we're going to stamp a little bit of the Lily of the Valley. I have a piece of designer series paper from that, which is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm also using the shimmering dots, which come from the Sweet collection. I'm only using one blend, Granny Apple Green, and I'm using one stamp color, Pretty Peacock. So let me show you this fun and really easy card to make. I'm going to start by bringing in my paper trimmer. So I was kind of going quickly because I was going back and forth on what I was going to do today. So it took me a minute to get everything organized, and I was cutting my paper a little too quickly. So now I know I have to really be careful with that. Even though you can see this one shows a little bit, it's really, if you get this card in the mail, I don't think you would mind. I will have, of course, at my class, different sentiments for people to use. So remember, this lighter blade is my scoring blade, so I'm going to put that away, and I'm going to use my cutting blade. If you come to a class of mine, we are going to have these cut in order, and I will have them with a paper clipped in order, because you need to keep them in order. So I'm going to I start on the right-hand side, and I like that we have this 1/2 inch mark, and I can just start from the end of the paper and make my first 1/2 inch. This is going to be on my far right. I'm going to keep it in order over here. I'm going to do the next one. Normally I have some of this cut before you, but I thought it would be good for you to see. It doesn't take long. And it's important for you to see how I do that, because I watched Susan do it, and it was a great, great idea. Okay. I love whenever we can make amazing cards that let the designer series paper be the focal point. So here we are just cutting, and it's 1/2 inch. I'm cutting the whole thing. I tried to think if I could do it larger, but it has to fit within the measurements, and it really didn't. So we're doing 1/2 inch. Now here's where it gets tricky. You got to make sure it's lined up. And sometimes I might have a smidge off. I don't mind a smidge off. What I was off earlier was way too much. And I'm going to do my last one. all lined up perfectly. Okay. And there we go. See, these look so much better than what I did last time. You really can't rush some things, you know? So I can move my paper trimmer out of the way, and I'm going to get my pretty peacock 4 by 5 1/4. I would agree with Susan 100% because she knows what she's doing, of course, but I would use liquid glue. It gives you some wiggle room. So I'm going to start with the first one. And I'm doing the whole card with you because I think it's important to see how to do it. The whole thing takes a minute. It's not, you know, a super fast, but it's not, I don't think it's the hardest technique I've ever done. Okay, so the hardest one is trying to get the first one on there, and you want to get it as far over as you can. That's why the green glue or liquid glue is really helpful. If you get a little bit of green showing, that's okay. Now I'm going to put the second one in place, but I am not gluing it down. It's a placeholder, and I'm going to glue the third one down. This is why it's so vital to keep these in exactly the same order. And you don't want so much glue on there that it just laps over. You want a nice strip of glue. Okay, I've got that. Make sure that's laying down correctly. Then I'm going to take this placeholder out and put it over here. So this next one, placeholder. This one I'm going to add some glue. And make sure they're kind of, make sure that looks good. Take that placeholder out. Set it here. It's a very methodical card. If you like methodical things, this will be your card. If you don't, sorry, maybe not your favorite, but it's still a great technique. You notice I'm just putting a little bit of glue, not getting too much because you don't want globs of glue. You don't want it to squish out. I'm going to set that there. Line that up. Oh, I moved it, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I was pushing it, and I moved it. That's the beauty. We can move it up. I better get my placeholder back in because I moved it, and I want to make sure I don't get it goofed up. Placeholder back. See, it's a good thing I got the placeholder because I moved it a little bit. And I'm glad I did because then it shows you what to do. Well, then you really have to pick it up, sorry. Put that placeholder back in. Move that over just a smidge. There we go. Now, if you get a little bit of glue, it should be covered up, but if for some reason it isn't, you can come back and do something else. Then I got a little bit of glue on that. I'm having a great time. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I see a couple of them are a little bit long, just a tiny bit. Just cut that off. You'll be happier. This will be covered up, so if you get a little glob of something, totally fine. Now I'm going to take, I went back and forth between big and small dimensionals, but the small dimensionals seem to take forever. So I'm using big. Just make sure you get it right in the middle so that it's not going to show. And I'm going to put one right on the end. I learned that the hard way. I think 4 for each one is really pretty good. And I'm going to come back in. And I'm going to pop each one up. And I'm filling that space. I start at the top, really getting it filled in so that it lays down nicely. Isn't that, I mean, that was a brilliant technique that I can see myself. Can you use it with other papers that have like patterns or designs? Yeah, it's such an easy technique. I would call it it is a technique, but beginners can do it. All you need is something to cut paper with. And I used a circle punch. That's all I've used. So you can really do this at whatever level you're at, whatever supplies you have. I'm going to make sure this kind of comes down. I love this technique. It's just so fun. The hardest part is keeping your paper in the correct order. So that will be a challenge. If you want to, when you get your paper, and I have cut it for you, or you cut your own, you could put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lightly in pencil on the back. If you wanted to do that, you could do 1 through 8 on the back so you knew what they were. That's probably a smart idea. I just thought of it. So that is something you can do, or try to keep them in order on your space as you're working. And I have one more to go. See, I did a better job of putting the dimensionals. I did a better job of cutting this time. So, it's all those things that I try to learn so that you can have success when you make the card. It's a fun little technique. I think she's calling it double vision. Reminds me of a technique we did with letters before called the eclipse technique. So I'm going to line this one up. Make sure you got it lined up with the side. Okay, there we go. I'll get this out of the way. I will go ahead and adhere this. Isn't that a fun technique? It's so easy. I just put a little bit of glue. I did not pop this up. And I'm going to look, this comes right from the stamp set. I'm going to put a little glue on this side and on that side, because those are the parts that are going to really stick. You can put it in the middle, but you really don't need to. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to add one of these really cute shimmering dots. I'm going to add a green, but you really could add any color you wanted. You could add a white, you could add whatever. I'm only adding one, but I will have some out, so you can add more than one if you really want. I just thought a nice little shimmer dot right there is kind of cool. And then the last thing I'm going to do to finish my card is the inside. I already stamped the happy birthday from the set. And I'm going to stamp the Lily of the Valley right down here, right in peacock. I'm not coloring the white part of the Lily of the Valley. I know there are some pink ones. I chose not to color it. I wanted to make it relatively easy. This just has such special meaning to me because my grandma, one of my favorite people in the world, just loved the Lily of the Valley. That was one of her favorites. And she was just, actually, I'm going to use the small side. She was just such a special person in my life. So I knew when I, saw this coming out in May 5th, in the new catalog, I'm like, I've got to have this one. Okay. So what happens when you make a boo-boo like that? Well, here's what I would do. You can do whatever you want. You have an option of trimming it off. I probably wouldn't do that, but you could. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a whole bunch of Lily of the Valley. I'm going to move it up because if I turn it over, I better clean this off. I don't have my rag kind of clean yet. I'll get this all cleaned off so I don't get any more ink. So that's what I would do. I just put a whole bunch of Lily of the Valley to make it look like, oh, golly, it was supposed to be that way. And all you're really doing is coming back through and coloring in the leaves. So it's not a big deal. I evidently can't talk and color at the same time. Do you see it a little bit? Yeah, but not a lot. Unless you color out of the lines like I just did, then you make it just thicker. So what do you do when you make a boo-boo? You fix it or you add glue, you know, I don't know, add a dimensional, add another stamp, add some color, add some DSP. There's so many things to do when you make boo-boos because we all do it. And it's just part of who we are, right? So there we are, the double vision technique using designer series paper. I hope you like this technique and I hope you give it a try. If you do, please put your picture in the comments. Have a great day.